Holy Novelty Museum, Batman! Tiki here. And I have been watching through each and every episode of Batman the Animated Series for the first time. And thus, having concluded my adventure with that original series, I have ventured forth into the realm of the Justice League. Dragon! Dramatic pause. Tell them why we're here.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way. But now, as you probably noticed, Batman's become part of a bigger universe. And the mission goes on as we enter the greater DCAU.
And with that in mind, oh my god, the Flash got his very own almost got him! That's right, folks. We're talking about Flash in substance. Yeah, Dragon, this was delightful. I will say it's, the one thing that I kind of have, like, it's not a knock on the episode at all. It's more just kind of like a hang up on the format of like, well, there isn't that much Batman in the episode. It's way more of a Flash episode than it is a Batman episode. But granted, of course, all the Batman stuff we have is very good. I assume this is one of the definitive kind of like Batman appreciating the Flash sort of episodes. Obviously the big scene between Flash and the Trickster, which Batman is looking on. That's a big moment for sure. So Dragon, I really love this as a Flash episode. I really do. And I think it has all the makings of, the fun kind of almost Gotham style team up, but also a bit more pathos and kind of like, yeah, man, that's why we love the Flash. That's why we love the CW Flash, not the Ezra Miller Flash. But yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit, Dragon. Grand scheme, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. But like I said, as far as being a Batman episode, I think it might make the episode go by a little bit quickly, but that's fine. Mostly it kind of just comes down to Batman just sort of being a big advocate for the Flash and what he does and kind of like the yin yang of their personality. So I approve of that. I had a really good time with it.
Yeah, I'll fully admit again. This originally, what we were supposed to do, we were gonna cover this, as per our April Fool's
It was
Day
going to be
thing.
the other Trickster one.
Yes, and
You know what
someone,
the funny thing about that is that I really don't feel like there's enough Trickster in this. I mean, he has a great scene, but I don't really think it would warrant a whole April Fool's Day thing on
so
its
so
own.
so that's the thing. There's kind of like a weird balancing act
Yeah.
with this one, where there is some Batman. It's good Batman, and the whole the whole kind of his the appreciation for the
Uh-huh.
Flash thing. By the same token, again, this is kind of like the ending of the Trickster stuff, but it's kind of balancing act. So I wanted to get in there somehow, and there's enough of a Batman thing. It's a really good episode, so I wanted to put it in there.
Make no
So
mistake, Dragon. I am very glad that I saw it, and I'm very glad it's part of this animated Batcave roster. Like I said, the only challenge is going to be kind of like how are we gonna,
well,
talk
I have
about
a
it from a
plan.
Batman perspective.
Well, very simply, the base of the plan here is we're going to talk about, it's a Flash episode. We're going to kind of view it through the prism of Batman. So basically,
Mhm.
kind of the compare and contrast of Batman and the Flash. That's how we're going to approach this.
For sure.
So let me give you a little context on this. Not a whole lot, just the usual. Like our director on this was the great and powerful Joaquin Dos Santos.
The Santos.
Yes, Dos Santos, more than one, yeah. Anyway, no, seriously, Joaquin Dos Santos here he's an excellent director. Really kind of cut his teeth on Justice League Unlimited. He really made a name for himself. He did kid stuff, and one of the great episodes, Task Force X, the Suicide Squad episode of Justice League Unlimited, which was great. And then basically, Suicide Squad's there's nothing but great stuff in animations. Every time Suicide Squad pops up, it's basically everything but a David Ayer film that Suicide Squad rocks.
Yep.
Now, of course, Joaquin Dos Santos, he moved on to Avatar, being that was like the big thing people know him from. He went on to do Avatar: Last Airbender and Korra. And the thing he's doing now is he's directing the Spider-Verse sequel. I don't know if he's doing both parts, but he's doing whatever the next one is.
Oh man, that's an exciting trajectory, but we'll get
Yeah.
there when we get there.
There
Anyways,
are a few
yeah, cool,
directors
cool.
on that, but he's like the lead director, I
Uh-huh,
think, on
uh-huh.
that. So that's a point. This
Are
guy's
Lord
like a
or
very
Miller coming back for that one?
well. No, they never directed those, so they were still
Right,
producing.
right. God, I keep forgetting because that movie does inherently feel like one of their movies in a
Now
lot of
remember, Peter Ramsey, the guy who did Rise of the Guardians, he did the first Spider Verse.
your shit. Oh wow, how did I miss that?
Now you know what Rise of the Guardians, which I'm not talking about the owl thing, right? I'm talking about like the whole
No,
thing
yeah,
with.
I know which Rise of the Guard. Yeah, that's ooh. All
Yeah, I
right,
just want to make
anyways.
sure. Okay, so the writer on this was Matt Wayne, who I mean the best way I can put it for our purposes is he did basically both of the really good Flash episodes from the this season of Justice League. Which by the way, that's where we're at right now. So we are kind of in the last kind of chapter of the DCAU. Technically, we are
Mm.
in the so Justice League Unlimited. Depending on who you ask, it breaks down to three, but really two seasons. Season one is pretty much all the Cadmus stuff. It's kind of long, and sometimes they break it up into two parts. But let's just say Cadmus is season one, which we basically, for our purposes, we covered all the Batman stuff with that Doomsday Sanction episode. Now we're in kind of the second season, which is the last season, which they basically what happened was it's the same story as always, Tiki, where they think they're only getting one season to work with. So they pretty much threw everything in the kitchen sink and they're like,
Yeah,
hey, you're going to
yeah.
blow up the watchtower? Like, hey, you're going to end in like
It's
the
a
most.
tale as old as time.
So with the first season of JLU, they ended in a way that, okay, this is full circle, like referencing Batman the animated series and everything. Like I'm saving for us for a certain point in our
You know what's
coverage.
funny is I'm actually just experiencing that right now with a show that I'm going through. I won't spoil what it is quite yet, but it's a show that like they kind of, the network kind of jerked them around. Finally, season 3, it's like, all right, listen, guys, we'll let you finish out the season, but this is the last one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Now, to be fair, the network, it wasn't like them being like them playing mind games or anything. This was just sort of like, like,
no,
hey,
like I'm
guys.
saying, it's kind of just par for the course with the industry.
Yeah, yeah. So this was in the sense of this was like, okay, hey, we're gonna okay. So how do we top just ending it the way we did on Justice League? Well, okay, we basically blew everything up. So in the Justice League Unlimited, we're gonna kind of do a big send off, like we're ending the whole universe. And then it's like, hey, you want to do more? Oh God, how do we do more?
More,
More.
more.
So essentially, what they did is, okay, well, what's left? What have we not done yet?
Uh-huh.
What are the kind of wish list? What are the bucket list things? So it's like, hey, we one of the characters we always wanted, we love, and we love to do more stuff with would be the Flash. We never really got into the Flash's, the Flash's rogues and everything. So, Matt Wayne here is like, let's do that for an episode. Then he did another Flash episode, which is very famous. It's really hysterical. It's basically the Flash. Because again, you remember, like we talked about this with this little piggy. They kind of avoided doing some of the tropey stuff in cartoons, so they saved a brain switch episode, which is the other Flash episode. He switches brains with Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically, hey, Michael Rosenbaum, who plays Lex Luthor on Smallville, is in the actual Lex Luthor's body, and Clancy Brown, it's hysterical. Anyway, anyways, let's see. The studio working this was Dong Wu, not the other one, Dong Wu, not Yang. So they did Wild Cards, Better World, and Tabula Rasa. All episodes I believe you enjoyed.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's see. So I think the only thing that's left to mention here is oh yes, of course the last thing to mention is that there's kind of a fun cyclical nature with the whole trickster of it all here because of course there is somewhat of a love letter to the '90s Flash series, the live action '90s Flash series that we have here because the idea is had the Flash series had gone on to a season 2, they would have had all the Flash rogues in costume and teaming up and doing stuff like they do here. So this is kind of like we always wanted to see that because it's such a heady idea, like way before it became commonplace. Like, hey, on the CW, let's do a crossover. It's not going to be as good as it used to be.
Right, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like let's do villain team ups. Let's do all the stuff that we take for granted now. Back then, when it was speculated during like the post Batman '89 era, like a year after '89, we got this Flash show and it's kind of Tim Burton-y and it looks really cool. Got Shirley Walker doing the theme. It was very much on everyone's mind because again, it was like DC was so kind of again it was so weird how we flip flop things between DC and Marvel in the popularity and how things have kind of grown. But The point being, it's like, hey, let's do kind of an homage to what we wanted from the '90s Flash show, and also include the Trickster, because we do have a line on Mark Hamill. Because right now we can't have Mark Hamill return as the Joker because of the stupid bat embargo. But you know what we can do? Let's bring Mark Hamill back
Loophole
as the other character, but also the fun cyclical nature of Mark Hamill playing the Trickster in the '90s Flash, which comes before Batman, most likely is what gets him playing the Joker, and playing the Joker pretty much like he played the Trickster in the '90s Flash. So it's very full circle and heady how that works out. Like, let's get Mark Hamill in there, essentially playing himself from a '90s TV show as the Trickster, because you've noticed the Trickster is absolutely modeled after Mark Hamill in this.
That would absolutely be like if they worked Nicolas Cage Superman into an animated movie or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten close, but not there
God,
yet.
if only, right?
But we've had him voice Superman once.
I know, but I feel like that'd be like the dream.
It would
that'd be like one of the dream animated DC projects at this point. Is that fair to say?
The dream project that's doing Superman Lives in animation. I'll tell you the compromise though. Doing Kevin Smith's episode in animation, that thing I told you about from the Strange Adventures thing, where Nick Cage was playing Bizarro Superman.
Right. That's fair.
Anyway, yeah. So that's it. So let's just get into it.
Okay, so like I said, Dragon, I really do enjoy. It's not necessarily a big framing device throughout the episode, but the first little scene of the episode starts with the big Mount Rushmore of Flash villains. Well, I guess besides Grog. Grog is not really a part of this episode.
Not Grog, Tiki, Grod with these.
I'm sorry, I always get that wrong. But anyways, they're all sitting around at a diner discussing, like, what I'm starting to realize, if it weren't for the Flash, we'd all be making it big time.
So something I always want to mention with the Rogues Bar here is always an idea in Flash, and they even kind of homaged on the CW TV show back in the good years. So I've always wanted this for a Flash TV show. I've always wanted this for a DC show. I just want to follow the Rogues. I just want a show where you can have the Rogues just kind of in the villain bar, essentially. And I love that this is like the fantastic and the mundane, kind of the Brad Bird principle storytelling. Done perfectly. Just the utter mundane. They had pretty much all the iconic Flash villains with two exceptions, Gorilla Grodd and obviously Reverse Flash, which unfortunately the DCAU never touched on Reverse Flash. They gave a clone, like a kind of a fake kind of robot Flash, like the Reverse Flash costume once.
That's not Reverse Flash. Get that fake shit out of here.
Exactly. He didn't really say anything.
Robot Flash. Come on now, son. Come on.
Exactly. It's like a nanite sort of thing. But anyway, so the fact is, the idea, the non super dangerous, like world conquering, like end all be all Flash villains, like the traditional favorites, they hang out at a bar, and they gripe about them, and I love like the fact that they have ulcers and wives and mortgages to pay. And it's
totally, yeah, Brad Bird mundanity at its finest, absolutely.
So this episode, I have to imagine, very inspired by Almost God. I mean, this is where our Batman parable
Sure.
I think a lot of this episode is kind of on some level, and a lot of this is me reaching, mind you, but I like to think in the Venn diagram of things, one could argue, like this is Batman, I think, kind of aspires to be the Flash.
You know what? That's a really interesting way to put it, because yeah, he definitely, like, I feel like the Flash is kind of like the guy that represents the people skills that Batman wish he had. Like, Batman has the resources to make a difference, but the Flash really has the social know-how to make a difference, and kind of like the genuine compassion. And it's not that Batman's not compassionate, it's just that, due to his traumatic nature, his upbringing and everything, he is closed off. There are walls around him that the Flash just can kind of like easily break through.
I mean, we'll get into certain examples later in the episode, but I think overall it's kind of my thesis on the episode is that basically Batman.
Totally.
I think it's that Batman wishes, like, basically the Flash is the lighter version of Batman's mission, only he's not absolutely obsessed with completing this thing. It's like just a happy-go-lucky guy.
Nothing matters except the mission.
Right.
Sorry.
But essentially that's it, though. Essentially he wants to...
Yeah.
Flash is like, has his colorful supervillains, and they're doing like a little like an almost got him situation here. Only, again, these guys are not insane. These guys are just bank robbers with colorful costumes.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, one of them's kind of crazy, but with the rest of them on
they're just various like colorfully themed bank robbers, essentially. Yeah, as you put it.
Pretty much. Okay, so the Mirror Master here, he's essentially kind of the leader of the bunch. He's like, yeah, I like how we kind of ranked him by the
I
coolness
do
of
really like the
powers.
gimmick of the Mirror Master. I'm not gonna lie, he was pretty cool.
The Mirror Master, that's the thing, Tika. The great thing about the Flash's rogues is that traditionally now they've kind of changed. At times they change this in comics. Sometimes they give them like you look at the Flash TV show. Sometimes they have powers like they did in the New 52. But
Sure,
traditionally,
yeah.
human guys with like a super gimmick of some kind, like they use through technology or something, like freeze guns and mirror guns, and obviously the Trickster and Cat Boomerang. So that's the thing. That's kind of the fun thing. Is like, how can our guys measure up to the Flash? And it's like a challenge. It's kind of an unspoken challenge between good and evil here. Of like, hey, maybe we can beat you and get the money, and we don't have powers. Let's see if we can trounce the Flash. So in this case, Mirror Master kind of summarizes exactly what you said. We're always so close. If this guy didn't show up, we would be so successful. It's his big day. Let's team up. Let's take him out. Of course, I love the milk gag. The milk gag's really funny, by the way. And they're all ordering their drinks and like milk isn't by ulcer.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So point big stakes. Meanwhile, so here's something we
Yeah, good old Wally West. I vaguely know who he is. He's like the Flash Junior, right?
Yeah, he is. So that's the thing. So in Starcross, we've only seen the Flash unmasked twice in the entire
Didn't he,
series.
famously get killed off or something?
Well, that's the thing. So in the animated show, we have only this is the thing they speculated for many years in Justice League until that's right, not many years for a long time in Justice League until the end of season 2 because he's only unmasked twice in the entire series, and they only reveal who he is at the end of season 2, where he is Wally West with the redheaded Flash, not the blonde-haired Barry Allen. And then this is the second time they've ever shown him, and they showed what his day job is, where basically they kind of mixed and matched Barry Allen and Wally West. Wally West is Kid Flash, who eventually becomes the full-on Flash. So he's the second Flash, yes. So he starts off in the yellow and red suit, and then just gets the full red suit. That's how that works. And yes, at times, like Wally West did die, but so did Barry Allen. Barry Allen died in Crisis, and then Wally West, he died, but in Young Justice he died as well.
I seem to remember something in that History Channel History of Comics thing where Wally West dying was like a big kind of like, shocking moment in the industry or something like that.
I think you might be thinking of Barry Allen. You might be, but he did die as well.
Specifically, oh no, you know what I'm thinking of? I think I'm thinking of Speedy.
Well, no, Speedy was a drug addict. He didn't die.
Okay, yeah, but he was like a sidekick, right? So
he's the Green Arrow sidekick, and there was a cover where he was shooting up on the cover.
So that's what I'm thinking of. Anyways, moving on. I'm mixing up my old comic history. I'm sorry.
Regardless, they both died at certain points in certain stories. Let's just like every character in comics.
You know who else died, Dragon?
Who, Tiki?
Bucky Barnes. He died. And you can celebrate his memorial at the Flash Museum. Or, I'm sorry, the Captain America Museum. Right next door to the Flash Museum. Seriously, Dragon, I want you to picture this, all right? I want you to picture this. All right? You ready?
All right.
Just picture an office-style comedy where it's the Flash Museum and the Captain America Museum. And they're right down the street from each other, and they're bitter rivals, and they're trying to draw business away from each other.
War heroes, sidekicks, colorful supervillains, an Avenger.
Oh my god!
Who are you gonna visit, America?
No, that would be a Disney Plus show that I would absolutely watch. Although the Flash DC side of things, it's only a matter of time before Disney owns everything. All hail Disney!
God. So. Anyway, okay, so my point is this is big because we're seeing Wally West's day job and the way they come down on this. Okay, we're going to mix and match him because we're going to give him Barry Allen's interesting day job, but it's still going to be the idea in the comics. Everyone loved Wally West because he was fun and youthful, and he was he was like the '90s Flash at that time in comics. So they basically let's make the Justice League Flash Wally West, but we're going to add the accoutrements and basically the traditional villains and everything of Barry Allen Flash. So it was a good compromise ultimately. I think it's going to confuse the kids looking back on it years later, but it worked out.
All right.
So he's a forensic scientist, and he is he's basically made a break in the case, and he's leaving early for the day because he's got stuff going on. And we see how nice and charming he is. He's friendly with everybody. Like, hey guys, he knows everyone's name. He's like Cheers in Yellow Boots.
Yeah, you beat me to the Cheers joke. I was like, okay, how can I connect this to Cheers? Anyways.
So anyway, so he beams up to the Watchtower table for one again. Michael Rosen, by the way, really charming guy. I think you've listened to his podcast, right?
I think a couple episodes. Yeah, I haven't like regularly listened to it. But,
it's worth a regular listen to. It's really good. Plus,
have I mentioned that I have tickets to the Doug Benson podcast?
Does he have like a podcast theater thing going on at the Improv or something?
Or no, it's in Well, he travels around. He moves cities every month or so, but it's going to be in San Francisco.
Oh no, you didn't mention that. But
so yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. It's a movie themed podcast, and he always has on surprise comedy guests every episode, so you never know who you're gonna get.
Oh god, if you got Bill Burr, wouldn't that be amazing?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Bill Burr has been on. You know, you just don't know. I mean, he had like that's kind of the fun of it.
Anyway,
all right. Anyways.
So, regardless, but yeah, seriously, I mean, the Rosenbaum's podcast is like kind of everyone's tuning into it these days. Really good stuff. So, regardless, so you know, he's at the Watchtower now. Batman's on monitor duty. There's always a running gag. Like usually, Batman's not in an episode; he's on monitor duty.
Right. Yeah, I think I even remembered that as a kid, just in the limited amount of Justice League I did watch.
Yeah. Like, that's why Batman's not in the Christmas episode. Batman was begging for monitor duty. So let's see. So he's hanging out with the moody Orion.
Oh boy, yeah. So Dragon, keep it brief. But what's the deal with this guy?
Well, you saw Orion a couple times in the. Remember we did like the Darkseid stuff. He's Darkseid's adopted son, per like the bargain of like he gets scot free.
Okay, yeah, right.
Like basically, Darkseid's son was raised by New Genesis, the good guys, and Darkseid raised the New Genesis kid, I believe, scot free. So that's how that went. Mr. Miracle. He raised Mr. Miracle, who was a good guy.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how that worked. Anyways, the point being, I believe that's how it went. I believe Mr. Miracle was the adopted kid. Either that or they took him in prison. I'm pretty sure he was the adopted kid. That's how it went. Regardless. So, point being, Orion, he's basically the dark. He's kind of a good guy with issues because his father essentially is the Antichrist of the DC universe.
Oh, geez, yeah, okay.
So Ron Perlman does his voice here, which is great. And they basically
Ron Perlman kind of pops up all over the place. Yeah,
Sorry.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Yeah, they introduced Orion in the big Darkseid episode of Superman.
Yeah, no, now I'm totally remembering now for sure. Yeah,
and he was in Twilight fighting his father when basically Darkseid kind of broke his back, and then so he's all better now. So the trio here is kind of, I like to view it as like
I do think Batman and him make a good pairing because they're both kind of like more on the cynical side, but then Batman has a little bit more levity than he does, so it's it's kind of a good kind of Venn diagram where Batman is sort of like right in the middle between him and the Flash in a way, if you think about it.
Well, in a sense, I mean, the way I kind of look at the episode is sort of like Flash and Orion are kind of a two-part equation that leads to Batman. You have essentially the accoutrement of Batman with the Flash, kind of the superhero of it all, and then you have Orion being the moodiness, like applied to a Flash. You get Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and also it's funny though. For me, one of the most famous Batman Orion bits ever in comics is he actually didn't get along with Orion in the comics. I like that he gets along with him here, mind you. I'm just saying there's this very famous bit where Batman teamed up with a guy called Forager, who was in the Twilight episode as well. But he basically at the end, Forager died in the comic, and Orion like kind of like, oh man, who knew the bug had him? And Batman lost his crap, man. He has punched Orion right in the face. His name was Forager.
Oh, jeez.
Like, seriously, Batman forms a really nice bond with that guy, and Orion's, like, demeaned him. Like that. It's like, anyway, point being, though, this is a far better choice for them to get along here.
All right.
So let's see. So, Flash basically guilts Batman into showing, because all the other Justice League founding members are busy.
Come on, this kind of had, like, some vibes of The Boys, I got to admit. Like, one of the original Seven's got to show up, right? Come on.
Yeah, but like in the nice guy version of The Boys.
Yeah, exactly. It's like The Boys if The Boys wasn't fucked up.
Yeah. So it's like, my mom's going to be there. My uncle's flying in too. It'd be nice to have a founding member for Flash Appreciation Day. I mean, I think the whole league deserves the honor, but So Flash just gives a sigh, and then Batman just says, "What time?"
And
6
then
o'clock.
Flash is just like, "Oh, goody!" Essentially, that's not exactly what he says.
Well, I mean, in a roundabout way, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, Bats, you're a stand-up guy, Bats.
Happy day.
He has this great line, like, "You're a stand-up guy, Bats. Don't ever let him call you a crazy loner."
Oh my god, yeah, that is a great line. You're right.
which is one of them. Again, I think the big theme of the episode with the Flash stuff here is that we're basically showing that Batman over time, while Batman is getting progressively darker and darker in the DCAU as we go from Justice League to Unlimited and such, there are these light spots. And you do see him kind of like him again. He has branched out from being the loner of kind of being a loner to being on a team to being with the Justice League. So there is something there. And my head canon is that the reason Batman's appreciating Flash outside of the Hulk, maybe kind of admires the Flash and wants basically Flash is living the life he kind of wants deep down, is that I think it's that the Flash, the whole plot line of Cadmus is that they're all afraid of the Flash dying, and I think Batman being a character is very defined by loss. It maybe put things in perspective.
Yeah, right. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's definitely a valid point for sure.
Because the idea is the Justice Lords lost their Justice League in the parallel universe. Their Flash got killed by Luthor,
right,
and that made them go really dark, and that kind of sent them a whole moral quandary. So after going through that whole story last season, I think Batman's maybe I should be nicer to the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's put things in perspective for him. So obviously, it's kind of funny in comics and everything nowadays, like whether it be like in live action or it be in stuff like Flashpoint. Batman's been, there's been like a bond between Batman and the Flash, where he delivered the big Thomas Wayne letter at the end of the Flash.
Well, of course, Batman, lest we forget the one thing about the original cut of Justice League that was better than the Snyder cut was, I still can't believe they cut this moment out. Just concentrate on saving one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They cut that out.
Yeah. That wasn't in the Snyder cut. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame. That was a really good.
Yeah, somehow that was for me by far the best moment overall in the original version.
So all that, honestly, I think that whole dynamic is inspired by that Flashpoint moment where he delivers the Thomas Wayne letter, and that's kind of retroactively given us moments in live action like that, like the whole save one person. So it's why they've been kind of joined in contrast to each other recently. I think
I like it, and like I said, tonally, it definitely is a good yin yang. I think it's a better yin yang tonally than the Batman Superman dynamic, because Superman, he's a lighthearted guy in some ways, but he can still be pretty stoic, whereas Flash is almost straight comic relief in contrast.
Don't get me wrong, there's definitely I'm never gonna poo-poo the whole Batman Superman, just kind of them being very much like an excellent pair and being friends and everything. But by the same token, you're right though, it is more of a broader kind of contrast with the Flash, because he's wearing a very bright outfit. He's also wearing a mask, and he's more of basically he fits the vigilante mold a little bit more, and he has the colorful villains. There's a lot more of there are more similarities, because the thing with Superman is that his villains are very limited to a degree, where he has cool villains, but it's Superman.
The problem with Superman's villains, I feel are the problem with Superman himself, is that a lot of them are OP.
Yeah, that's the thing. You always kind of have to be really creative, or you really got to out top yourself, or make kind of a big event where that's kind of sometimes a detriment.
Or you got to use Luthor, and I feel the reason Luthor gets used so often isn't even necessarily that. People do really like him, but I just think it's because he's really malleable. There's a lot of things you can do with him.
True, and the fact that Luthor has a point, that's the scary thing. It's like why Doctor Doom's so cool, It's the guy does have a point.
Anyways, next time on DC Villain Theory.
Okay, regardless, yes. So the point being, Batman here is just, by the way, I wondered if you had this. I think this is one of the episodes where Conroy had a cold when he was recording. Did you get any of that?
You know what? I did not cold off the top of my head, but I did kind of in the back of my mind note oh, he's not really being as I don't know. I did note a little something going on,
because it's only happened so selectively in the entirety of his performance as Batman, but very rarely, very occasionally does he have a nasal thing with Batman, which I think is
right.
Poor Conroy must have had a cold during the session.
yeah.
That's what I think. I think it's not the first time it's happened, but I don't know. It could be a microphone thing. I don't know. Maybe it was a lighter kind of delivery choice for him for this. I'm not sure.
That's what I kind of read it as, was lighter delivery choice, but
It is possible. I just don't know for a fact, one way or another, what the deal was. It's kind of hard to look up. Like, did Kevin Conroy have a cold during this voiceover session?
Oh God, Dragon! Imagine if you were one of those Comic-Con fans and you went to the panel, like Kevin, when you recorded the Flash and Substance episode, your voice sounded a little off. Do you remember why?
Wouldn't it be wonderful if...
Tell me, Kevin.
That's the thing. It's always like, you always have like kind of that fantasy. Like, couldn't you ever just ask like a very specific question about like what it was like the day you recorded the episode? But then you have to realize, oh, wait a minute. God, there's like 85 plus episodes. I mean, 85 animated series episodes, and then you have the movies, and then you have all the Justice League episodes. So roughly,
like, it would literally be like recalling like a specific calendar date on a day-to-day day job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I have like roughly 150 appearances.
It's like, well, you know, I woke up, I grabbed myself some coffee, I did some vocal warm-ups, I got into the booth. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you.
Exactly. Anyway, so Orion's questioning Batman here about the whole, like, you know, why, like, you never catch me at a museum opening like that. And this Batman gives him the glare, he shoots him the bat glare. Now it's a question. Orion, I assumedly respects Batman. This is just like, you know, him like, I'm not going to fight Batman. Or it's like, maybe the glare is scaring him. I like the thing. It's like, okay, Batman has a point. It's not black tie.
I think with Batman, with anything Batman, I feel like it's a combination of fear and respect, right?
Yeah, it has to be. All right, so let's see. All right, so that brings us to. I'm sorry. Let me reestablish this so I don't have to do it later. Okay. So what I was getting at too. So the Flash Museum, the whole Flash Appreciation Day. This is a story. The reason Batman's in this story, I'd like to think, is that he wishes he was the Flash because he can achieve his mission at super speed, and because he has the means to do that. You know, I think that's ultimately why Batman. I think that's the main reason why he says yes at the end of the day. It's not just because he's missing, but because it's like, you know,
no, I hear you.
Yeah, I don't mean to be later. I just want to make sure I get it in during that point. I think that's why in that moment he says yes, because he's just like, this is a big moment for the Flash. I wish I could be lighthearted like him, and he's kind of doing everything. There's something to appreciate and to attribute. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to do this for him.
Sure.
Okay, so I love the mundanity. I love the how lived in, you know, like Flash in Central City is here in the DCAU, where like we get a chance to see like, oh my God, the Flash, because of his speed. Again, it's like the perfect. It's like Batman had he achieved the mission where he, in broad daylight, almost like '60s Batman, he can go around and greet everyone and knows their names and hangs out with them on the weekends.
Right.
But that is the dream, right? That's the dream of like having your city in such a good place where
that's essentially what he wants to do as Bruce Wayne. But you know, as we know, that like the Bruce Wayne double life scheduling can often be a conflict there.
Yeah, I love how tied to the community is, and that's the thing. Like Batman and Bruce Wayne are tied to their communities, but there's always kind of a divide there, one way or another.
And of course, part of Bruce Wayne's front is the whole Playboy angle, so he always is kind of like at arm's length as far as public perception goes.
Yeah. So again, I love this Flash. He's all pleasantries, man. I love it. You know, he's just going around like, hey, Flash, you know, how are they biting today? How's the bursitis, Merlene? Oh, you know your limits. All good now. They love him. It's delightful. So we have the Disco Death Trap where he runs past the skate center.
Yes, I really like the Disco Death Trap, Dragon. I was debating between doing something with a roller rink or doing something with the Flash Museum, but the Flash Museum's a little bit more central to the episode in regards to the Holy. But the Disco Death Trap is very fun.
Yeah, and I love this. Is like Mirror Master's MO. He creates like a holographic projection of like a hostage or a civilian in trouble, and that'll bait the Flash. And
Dragon, I'm a sucker for a good mirror maze. I really am.
Yeah, it's really the Mirror Master is all about that sort of thing. He's really cool that way, where he's just like that's the thing is the fact that like how the great thing about these Flash ones is like how are they going to combat the Flash if they don't have super speed? Unless I like the idea that when you nowadays it's too commonplace. But like in the CW Flash problem is like almost every season, and there's a villain with super speed. It's like, come on.
That literally only works with the Reverse Flash, because that's the point of the Reverse
There are only
Flash.
2 times you ever do a villain with super speed. Only twice. Reverse Flash and Zoom, which they did a nice job of in the second season.
For sure. Yeah.
And essentially, in the comics, they're the same, pretty much the same. It's just Reverse Flash with the creepier eyes. That's the only difference.
Totally.
So the point being, Reverse Flash is your speedster bad guy. So regardless, it's nice to see,
absolutely, as he should be.
So regardless, it's a good call to we have interesting.
It'd be like if Batman had another clown themed bad guy.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really good move to let's jazz things up. Like, what are things that Flash can't just run his way out of, or they can't just run Barry run the situation,
Right.
Or in this case, run Wally run. I don't know, but yeah. So that's the thing. So I love that we have the Mirror Master, which we can't. There's so many different ones there. Like as we're gonna see later on, like you can project multiple copies of himself, and they can shoot lasers and everything. Anything with a mirrored, it's like that scene in Doctor Strange. Anything with a mirrored surface is a danger zone, which is terrifying.
That's a common trope in supernatural horror as well.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. So we have this great thing. They have this disco ball that is projecting lasers that are going around the place, set the disco music. And I love
we have the little girl in the arcade.
Yeah, and she disappears as we reveal he's fallen into a trap, and the Mirror Master shows up. I love how the Mirror Master's saying, Flash, I never cared for you, but I'm a reasonable man. If you just look the other way now and again, we could have coexisted, man.
Right.
So really, you never hear that.
I'm a reasonable man.
I love that you never hear that brought up the whole. Come on,
it's like the villain just trying to meet the hero in the middle.
Exactly, and that's the great thing about the Flash's villains.
I'm not saying all the time. I'm just saying sometimes look the other way.
It's like Joker
you can give me a light bust every once in a while.
Yeah, don't take everything, but That's the thing, because there's kind of there's an honor code amongst the Flash villains, and we're thinking about it, at least these four, they're not the bloodthirst. The Reverse Flash is the bloodthirsty
totally
sort,
yeah.
But these guys, they're not about hurting people; it's about stealing money. I mean, Trickster, again, depending on the 90s Flash, he's a little crazy and dangerous at times, but aside from that, no one else is really out for blood. At least
but Trickster is also the most sympathetic out of all of them, I think.
That's the thing. At least the Trickster's not intentionally out to hurt people.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's the thing. So there's an unspoken rule. There's a challenge of maybe we can outsmart the Flash and get away with our money. That's the game. So he's you could have let us win a couple more times, man. Yeah. So the Flash, he destroys the jukebox, and he basically he tosses the CD and at super speed and destroys the disco ball. Really cool. I love when he's calling out the one liner too, which is really funny. The whole you're really quick on the uptake, aren't you? It's like, well, you're not really there. You're not really all there, are you?
All right, that could have been a better comeback.
At the end, he's going after he's left now, says, "Why don't you take some time to reflect on your mistakes?" Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
All right, so next up, we're at the Flash Day at Central City, and the mayor just gives the Flash just a big ol' Kingdom Hearts Keyblade size key to the city.
It's funny?
Seriously, the Flash could do battle with that thing, man.
Isn't it great though? Historically, the keys of the city are always giant keys. Every time you see them in cartoons or something, it's there's the big ceremonial key. But what's funny though? I wonder if this is an actual thing. So, do you remember the Bat Kid at all? The real life Bat Kid? The kid was sick and they did a whole thing.
Yes, of course.
So they gave him a key to the city. Now that key to the city is made of chocolate.
Oh.
So I wonder if is that a thing they do now with the keys of the city? They make a promotion. Hey, it's your name and chocolate written on a key.
Possibly.
Or was that just for the kid?
Maybe the keys to the city now are just promotional limited edition Kingdom Hearts Keyblades.
That would be rather nice.
All right.
I've actually seen some of those on sale. At least
they are nice. Yeah, they are a good product. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no, I've seen some kind of foam core ones at Comic Con.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, the mayor gives him the key of the city for Flash Appreciation Day, and also helping I like the fact he's helped the underprivileged. I thought that was really nice.
For sure.
Anyway, so yes, of course, ceremony interrupted by boomerangs of death.
And I really do like the Captain Boomerang of the DC AU Dragon. I really do. I like his design. I think I like him a bit better than the Jai Courtney one. I like the fact that he's a bit more of a gentleman than the Jai Courtney version. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Cat Boomerang is a rough and tumble Australian, but he's a little more classy. It's more like classy than gentleman. But yeah, there's like
Right. Yeah.
I think he can be rather, as we saw in like the other animated Suicide Squad. He is kind of a rough and tumble Aussie, one could say, but he is. But that's the thing. You're right. This is like the
I'm
classiest
just saying the
version.
Jai Courtney one basically is just kind of like a brute idiot.
No, exactly. Yes, I mean there's like a derivation of like what we've seen in animation there, but
Uh-huh.
it's regardless though. You're right though, and it's funny. This guy's appeared in two episodes. This episode and the Task Force X episode, where you see him
Uh-huh.
on the
Uh-huh.
Suicide Squad essentially. So and they reference this in the episode that after that episode, a couple of years have passed, and he got out because of they basically in the DCAU, the idea is you do 5 years and then you get released. 5 years of suicide missions.
Sure.
So, so that's what's happened here, and he's throwing the boomerangs, and really cool. I love the gag where the Flash he grabs him, and he throws him like, "Oh, duh, you're gonna come back." But seriously, Captain Boomerang quite menacing, isn't he? Like he's throwing these exploding boomerangs, and then we have, I believe, a nod to the comics where a giant like
Yeah,
rocket
just a
powered.
giant sized boomerang just latches onto the Flash.
Yep, and I love this whole thing of like when I find you, I'm gonna hurl all over you. It says, "Oh well, try fixing on the mountain you're about to smash into." So a Flash, he has a free arm. He basically dismantles the thing. He crash lands, the rough landing, and Batman and Orion are there now early, and they're just checking in on him.
Mhm.
You're strapped to a giant boomerang.
Yes, he is indeed.
So Batman, he talked to Amanda Waller, finding out about this whole boomerang business, and so again, it's kind of Batman in contact with Amanda Waller. After the idea is they mended fences after Cadmus. They're actually becoming buddies now.
That's good. I do
Yeah.
like the tension that we saw throughout season 2, though. That was a really good arc.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So yeah, that's kind of a nice little kind of after that point, like he and Waller have there's a lot of trust that has built there.
Mhm.
You're going to see a big payoff to that when you see the last appearance of Amanda Waller. I'll say that much.
Nice.
So Batman insists on coming with the Flash. We're coming with you. Like, oh, well, you're so slow. So they
Oh
teleport
God.
to the Flash's apartment. Meanwhile, the Rogues. This is hysterical to me. I love the mundanity here. It's the fact that the Flash Rogues are doing their team up because they are down on their luck. Because every time the Flash foils a plot, they're out of money. So
Yeah,
it's like the idea they have to chip in for the death traps to cover their overhead. And I love the fact that Captain Boomerang is the most
I
expensive.
mean,
Because
those
again,
death traps aren't free, Dragon. People just don't come in and build those for, you got to hire the independent contractors, and that's
yep.
a whole thing.
But I love this thing. I love out of the bunch. Think about it. So Captain Boomerang is the most expensive of these villains because Captain Cold has his 2 cold guns, which he built. That's all he needs.
Right,
Doesn't
right.
need doesn't need anything.
No, but Boomerang, yeah, you're right. It's like once he loses the boomerang, he's got to have a supply of boomerangs.
And Mirror Master, I love how he calls out Mirror Master here. He's like griping about him being like always down to his last penny, always borrowing money and everything. It's like, well, yeah, what do? You pull he can use any mirror anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So pull it out of his bloody arsenal. So then the trickster, Tiki, what does the trickster propose for his plot?
I don't know, Dragon. What does he propose?
400 cases. This is a hysterical Mark Hamill like rant here. It's like 400 cases of fake dog vomit. We'll grease the bottoms of them so the Flash will slip into a giant wall of spikes, and then everything explodes.
Thank you, Dragon. I knew kind of like the basics of what he was asking, but I knew you could do it word for word better than I could. So
look, this is kind of like the whole. This is kind of like the Killer Croc sort of. I threw a rock at him moment,
Oh, except like times 10.
For sure. It's kind of like less.
Although I would wager to say Killer Croc's I threw a rock at him is probably more iconic, but
No,
this is
for
way
sure.
more wrapped up.
As I'm saying, that's the nice and simple version. This is kind of the more like less dialogue versus more dialogue version.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love this. I love that the trickster here. He's just they basically, what, like kids practically in a little club. You know what? Taking turns is dumb. Let's just jump him at the museum.
Oh God.
The trickster's like bargaining as they're all like, what really ate into their budget? I like to argue. They got like the Hawkeye in the comics. Hawkeye had like a flying like this. Had like a flying motorcycle thing. It's like they all have like these flying hovercraft things. It's like that's what ate up their budget. They didn't need those
Oh
at
yeah,
all.
totally.
You know, it's like, okay, I can make do with 50,000 rotten eggs and a chainsaw. Then you have the sympathetic moment creeping in, like nobody gets me.
All right. So speaking of sympathetic, is this is a scene where you have the bar scene with the trickster, right?
In one moment, but with
Okay.
one moment, I just want to call it one really cool thing we did
Sure,
here.
sure.
So we're in the Flash's apartment. Like Orion punches the standee, and like it started like this apocalyptic war. He's punching like a little cardboard standee. He's talking to him like he's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jingle All the Way. And then we have the great moment here. They finally did it. Like we don't believe we've. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we ever did this. Very down to earth apartment that the Flash has, and in a drawer he has a whole bunch of little Flash rings, and we get to see him use the ring, the famous ring. The idea that the Flash crams a full costume in this little tiny ring.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure you as
Pops.
a gadget nut that just absolutely adore that. Yeah.
Always the coolest thing with the Flash.
It's like little clothing Pokeballs, Dragon.
Yes. I actually have. I have the Reverse Flash version of this ring.
Do you?
From the replica from the TV show, where the idea is Reverse Flash would charge, you know, his the tachyons in his suit using the ring as like a build up to this sort of thing. Anyway, so yeah, the Flash just kind of he brushes off the villains, and Batman saying it's 4 villains coming out of the woodworks to team up against you. We got to deal with this now. And he says, "Look, I'll round them up tomorrow." They all hang out at this little dive bar. They look to each other. That's where we're going. So then we go to the bar, and like I love this. The minute I love the silhouette, by the way. You know, it's like 3 pointy-eared heroes walking a bar. Sounds like a joke, I know, but they do. So all the villains, they see, oh God, Batman, a guy from Apocalypse, well, a guy from the New Genesis, the point being Darkseid's son, and the Flash have walked into our Shangri-La. We're running. So they're all running there, with the exception of the Trickster, who's just kind of ranting. He's like, yeah, I'm sure if I were a captain, they'd want to do my idea.
Which is a very valid point.
Yep. So Batman and everything walks. They all walk up to him, and like Flash has to cough to get his attention. He pulls out the snot gun.
Yeah, it's literally like a nose-shaped gun.
Not just a nose-shaped gun, my friend.
A nose-shaped gun that literally shoots snot, or a snot-like substance.
Well, yes, but I mean, it has a mustache. It's a Groucho mustache.
Oh my God! Oh, you're right. That is the most important detail.
Yes, so he shoots like an acidic kind of like snot thing, and like I love Batman. I love there's a severity and a danger to the Trickster that we do. While he is sympathetic and he is relatively
especially
harmless,
in the age of COVID, man, you don't do that. You don't joke around with that shit.
I love like the guy pulls
faces. That's the true evil.
Yeah.
COVID.
I love that he pulls out kind of like a sawed-off kind of shotgun. Batman's like, okay, gun, not cool. It's like, you know, slaps it to the side and shoots the pool table. All right, then we have the big moment, Tiki. So Orion's about to pound the tar. Batman's interrogating him. Says, Orion's going there. He's gonna break the jaw of the Trickster and do God knows what other horrible things to him. And the Flash like, hey, easy, man, easy. So how does the Flash deal with this?
Well, this is great, Trey, because it's basically like the ultimate kind of like good cop moment. And I mean that in the most genuine of ways. I mean good cop in like the Bruce Wayne fucking James Gordon, like, oh, the little kid with the coat and comforting him in his darkest hour, like that kind of good cop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would argue this is the best Flash scene ever, quite possibly.
Like in all of animation or in the Justice League or what? Like,
I mean, that's the thing. Definitely in animation.
By any metric?
I mean, possible.
I mean, I'm just one to clarify the limits here, but I can't deny that it's a powerful scene and that I probably haven't seen anything better than this. So.
That's the thing. For me, it's kind of a total thing. I mean, I might the only thing I rival like his scene with him going up against the Reverse Flash, but that's more of a Reverse Flash thing. So I think ultimately this is definitely like the best thing I've ever seen of the Flash in animation, but quite possibly period. It's like a perfect Flash scene, I feel. It's a really strong scene. It's showing him being very compassionate to his villain, who also is Mark Hamill, which adds kind of again, this is kind of a send-off to the 90s Flash, which is also rather nice.
But Dragon, what about the time when Barry Allen joked about having brunch and not understanding what brunch was? Isn't that the most iconic moment of all time?
Okay, but seriously.
It's a snack hole. All right, sorry.
Okay, so if I can bring back the whimsy here for a second.
Yes.
Seriously, though, Tiki,
A
how
snack
wonderful.
bowl dragon.
Like, think about this. The last time you saw the Mark Hamill trickster, it was him and the
Oh,
Flash kind of buddies under like a mind control thing. Like he was like palling around with him, but making the Flash a bad guy. So this is kind of a nice reverse on that. Where but the DCAU found a way. Let's ground the trickster. Let's look at what the '90s Flash. Oddly enough, the live action trickster was far more cartoony than the
no,
trickster
I will
here.
definitely agree with you there for sure.
Like he's basically Frank Gorshin in that, and here he's Frank Gorshin meets the
Totally,
Joker,
totally.
and here we've kind of grounded him down to like this is a guy who needs help, and the Flash knows this, and the Flash knowing everyone in town, he absolutely like Batman does, and I think Batman really bearing witness to this is nice. The Flash cares about the rehabilitation of his villains, and he sees James Jesse as a nice guy who had a lot of breaks, and he does not mean to be as dangerous or mischievous as he is. And Michael Rosenbaum, the way he plays this scene is just utterly perfect, and it's so heady that now he talks about mental health constantly on his podcast. It's kind of like a Nostradamus moment in the
Totally.
history of Michael Rosenbaum. I don't think he's ever put this together myself.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's just really nice. He's kind of talking with him here, and he's just saying, says, why don't you, James, you're wearing the suit again. So I am.
Mm-hmm.
Want to go play some darts? And the whole way before they talked about taking his meds and everything. You're not taking your meds, are you? Well, they only take them when I need when I'm starting to feel down or something, or they keep me down. Says, that's not how the medicine works. And they brings up the suit thing, getting a little flummoxed with him, like James, you're wearing the suit again. This is so I am. Listen, tell you what. Tell me where the other bad guys are, and I'll visit. And when I visit you at the hospital, we'll play darts, the soft kind. And there's like this.
It's pretty poignant.
Yeah.
It really goes to show how out of the way the Flash goes for rehabilitation, and that is also something that, of course, Batman very much agrees with.
Yeah, because we've seen him time and time again. The unfortunate thing, though, is that the Flash I imagine, has a far better success rate than Batman does. Because Batman's always the tragedy of every time he tries. Because again, if he succeeded, then the mission would probably be over. But it's just every time he tries, the villains they kind of fall back into their ways through one tragic circumstance or another, or it's just in their DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, then we have like the kind of the great top cherry on top here, where it's like he tells him with the boyish smile, like, yeah, they're gonna ambush you at the Flash Museum, and he walks off and runs. Like, what about your enemies? It's like, oh yeah, by the way, when you finish your drink, turn yourself in. Got me again, Flash.
Right.
Like that's perfect. That's the
Yeah,
perfect
that's
moment.
good. That's good
Got
for
me
sure.
again, Flash. Love it. All right, so long story short, here we're at the Flash Museum. Yeah, it's basically what do you think of the Flash Museum, by the way?
I mean, it's a lot of fun. Honestly, I could have used some more time there. I'm a sucker for this type of stuff, so it's I took what I could get of it. It's really well designed, I think.
Of course, way before we had the Captain America Museum, the Flash Museum was like the version of. So basically, the Cat Museum is very much an homage to the Flash Museum, for being
Sure.
honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically what if a Bat Cave were made public? That's essentially the cool thing you have with the Flash. Again, in kind of contrast between those two. So what if we can give Batman the recognition he doesn't want?
Mm-hmm.
So we have like stuff like the Jay Garrick helmet from the original Flash, and a little kind of like a statue of Gorilla Grodd, and like a lot of cool displays. I think the coolest display in the place, if you noticed, it was from the Superman the Animated Series episode that introduced the Flash, which is based on the comic where the Flash and Superman have their famous race. They race around the world to see who's
Oh,
fast.
yeah, I didn't notice that, but yeah, that is a really cool Easter egg for sure.
They're really cool. This is like they're running on like a giant globe. It looks really cool. It's like they made it 3D. So, point being, Batman or Ryan, like they're watching the place. Batman's removed all the mirrors inside the place, all the reflective surfaces. And we have Linda Park, who in the comics, like, had they gone on, they probably would have like shown Linda Park has the hots for the Wally West Flash, and they eventually end up together. So we kind of see
No,
that
I mean
here.
they were definitely like more than hinting that already as it was for sure.
Yeah, Linda definitely had it bad for. I really love that she had it bad for the Flash. By the way, I thought that was adorable. So she checks her compact, and in checking her compact, that's the mirror that Batman didn't account for. Bum bum
Uh-huh.
bum. Bad guys enter, and we have some fight stuff. There's a lot of damage to the museum,
And we
like the
fight.
Flash is. But it's a lot of cool action. Like Joaquin
It is cool.
DeSantis
It's fun.
excels at action. So this is all good stuff. So let's see. So Batman and Ryan, they get into the fight there. We have Boomerang versus Batarang, which is like the coolest thing ever. Let's be honest. Like Boomerang pulls out the boomerangs, and then Batman Batarangs in tow. Like that's a fight I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So Flash, in saving, he goes to save Linda, who falls into a mirror per the mirror dimension, and basically they're trapped in there. You have Batman versus again. You have the Boomerang Batman thing. Let's see. Orion gets put on ice. Then you have basically Batman all alone facing down the trio of villains. Like you have like this bit with strangling wire with Mirror Master, which is really cool. Like he kind of like jump scares him as he's trying to strangle life out of him, which is really cool. Batman's holding his own, but he pulls out the flare gun. He shoots this flare gun to signal the Flash, gets him out of the mirror dimension, and that basically brings us to basically all our villains get taken out thanks to the Flash here. Where Captain Cold gets frozen thanks to Orion, like splashing the water on him, which is cool, literally. And the Mirror Master's fate is it's quite haunting.
It is. It is.
It's like he tries to escape into a mirror, and Batman throws a batarang at it, like right in the last second, right as he jumps into the mirror. So he's kind of caught between dimensions. And he's sentient as he's being bagged as evidence. Like, are those all the pieces? Where's my lawyer? Get my lawyer! He's just panicking utterly. It's like, oh god, just funny. Boomerang's got knocked out. He's probably gonna be in the Suicide Squad again. So then we have kind of our really nice button that we put on things, where the Flash is talked to by Linda here, and she saying, she gets really in his face though about like, you were our greatest hope, and this was our this is our tribute to you. Well, and the Flash just brushes it off in a very earnest, humble way, which is nice. It's just like, I got to be on TV. You know how much I like that. Makes a little joke of it. And Orion puts a nice kind of sentiment, kind of puts a finer point on it. Like, so you play the fool to mask a warrior's pain.
Yeah. That was a really good kind of period on the end of the episode for sure.
Yeah, and the Flash just has this perfect line here where he says like, "Hey," he says, "No, it's not that at all." He just says like, "Hey, the bad guys went down and nobody got hurt. You know what that is to me? That's a really good day."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just real nice, just real good stuff. And there was a bit with Batman earlier that was just really nice, where Batman's like, Orion's just like, they build statues to this clown and everything, and Batman's like, I just don't understand. He flies away, and Batman to himself practically just says, "Yeah, you wouldn't." Just again, just Batman getting a lot of points to the Flash and just kind of enjoying. I think he really respects the Flash in that moment of like, all he cares about at the end of the day is that no one got hurt, and that's
absolutely.
That's just right. That's just right, man.
All right, so I don't really have a lot to add as far as final thoughts go, Dragon. I am glad we covered this. I can totally see how it'd be a bit of a difficult middle ground as far as being more of a Flash episode than a Batman episode. But as far as being a Flash episode, it's a pretty damn good Flash episode. And like you said, I feel like there's a lot of good kind of thematic connective tissue with Batman. So I'm very glad we covered it. It was a really good ride.
Yeah. Again, I mean, this is like a Hall of Famer, like probably like one of the great representations of the character. Sans like him going up against the Reverse Flash, but this is like as great a Flash story as you're going to find. It kind of everything I want with a character is kind of in this episode. I love it as a Flash episode, but I really do, looking back on it with a fine tooth comb, I do really like kind of the parallels to Batman, just kind of the dichotomy between these two characters, and like a lot of it's subtextual, mind you, but I do like kind of the thematic subtextual kind of stuff with the DCAU Batman, in that he has gone on quite the journey with the Flash, which we have reflected in other media at this point. So that's kind of, it's nice to see like like Batman befriending his fellow Justice League members and having a different obviously we haven't covered all of these episodes, but just because Batman has a very minimal role in some of these. But what we have seen is like overall, Batman has had at least one really good episode or really good pairing with each of the members of the Justice League, and essentially this was his big Flash episode, where he's obviously been with Superman constantly. Wonder Woman, with this little piggy of it all, and there's an episode of Green Lantern that we're going to get to at some point, because let's just say it dips into some Batman Beyond stuff. So yeah, it's really nice that this is Batman's big his big Flash episode. So it's rather nice.
I would
It's
say
great.
so far out of the pair ups, this is the one I've enjoyed the most. So yeah, definitely points there.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
Dragon, cue us up. What's the next one?
An old friend asking for Batman's help. Gorilla Grodd's master plan revealed. The Justice League somewhere in the Himalayas. A shocking death. Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Dead Reckoning.
Got me again, Flash.